and Clayton Bigsby, black white supremacist, ventured out into an unsuspecting world.
Folks, if you can't handle uncomfortable truth on a Sunday, time to clicky off the video. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another Legally Armed America video. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow here, the one and only truth pimp, dealing you a vulgar display of logic and reason on a daily basis. Today, we're talking about the little island on the other side of the pond over there. These people in the UK are running from everything. They have let their country get completely infested. They have banned guns. That elevated all the knife attacks. And now they're faced with an uncomfortable truth because they're utilizing technology now to try to locate criminals. And it's giving them the right answer, but not the answers that they're comfortable with. A massive story exploded last week where the Essex Police in the UK paused their live facial recognition cameras because the technology was catching, quote, too many black people. The headline screamed racial bias and racist AI. But if you dig into the actual University of Cambridge study they commissioned, it blows the narrative wide open. Now, you're going to catch me chuckling a little bit in this video because this kind of stuff is funny. When people say they're seeking the truth and the truth comes out at them, the literal truth, 100% unbiased, and it's not the answer they were looking for, they scurry like cockroaches when you turn a light on. That's exactly what's happening here. You see, their little AI system wasn't programmed based on values of race. It wasn't a racist algorithm that was hunting specifically black faces. It was an unbiased system accurately matching real criminals on police watch lists, and it performed better on black participants. At least that's how they describe it. The pause happened where they shut the whole system down because too many correct identifications expose uncomfortable crime statistics. And today I'm blowing the lid off of this, and of course it's going to elicit some negativity, because people are going to say that it's racist. Make no mistake, everything I'm about to show you is all verifiable. You can Google it. You can do whatever you want. Whatever search engine or AI assistant you use, do it. Run my stuff through it, and everything is true that I'm sharing with you. By the way, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit that like button and comment down below when the video is over and tell me what you think about all this. Let's get into it. The University of Cambridge report, published on March 12th, commissioned by Essex Police, tested their CoreSight live facial recognition system in real deployments. They used 188 actors walking past marked police vans in Chelmsford. The watch list was all real suspects, real people. These weren't actors. The key findings that they found: correct identification rate for watch list people, about 50% overall at operational thresholds. False positives, meaning wrongly flagging innocents that were not on the list, were considered to be, based on the results, extremely rare. In the controlled test against a huge filler watch list, only 6 false positives total. In 41 real deployments scanning over 1.3 million faces between August 2024 and February 2025, they had just 1 mistaken intervention out of that 1.3 million. That is world-class accuracy under anybody else's standard. That's literally a 0.017% false positive in lab tests. Now the uncomfortable part that they call bias, because the results weren't what they wanted. They claimed the system was statistically significantly more likely to correctly identify black participants than other groups. You see where this is going, right? It identified more black criminals. So because it did that, something must be wrong. Black faces had higher correct matches, simply because more blacks were identified as actual criminals. Remember, these weren't actors. These were actual people. It literally picked out the actual criminals. And because it was lopsided more for black people, that must be racist. They say black participants were 27% more likely to be correctly identified than all others combined, and 31% more likely than white people. At operational settings, black matches were around 14% points higher than whites in breakdowns. It also identified more men than women, which again proves that group significantly being more represented in crime is why it showed more. It showed more men because more men than women commit crimes. It's literally identifying facts right before our eyes, but because it's not giving them the answers they want, something's got to be wrong. Hilariously, Dr. Matt Bland, one of the Cambridge authors, said it plainly. If you're an offender passing facial recognition cameras, the chances of being identified as being on a police watch list are greater if you're black. According to him, your chances aren't greater of being recognized as a criminal if you're a criminal. It's greater if you're black. Maybe he's being racist and actually implying that most black people are criminals. A separate National Physical Laboratory study found no statistically significant ethnicity or gender bias. Black men simply had the highest correct match rate. And sadly, critics cannot claim racial bias here. False positive weren't disproportionately on black incidents. Of the 6 in testing, 4 were black. The problem, according to them, was that there were too many correct hits. It got it too right, according to them. Too many accurate hits on actual black criminals. Essex paused to, quote, tweak the algorithm for, quote, fairness in positive rates, meaning they wanted to dial it down until they got fewer black matches that they were more comfortable with. So let's see. You put out an algorithm that doesn't care about race. Literally, the original algorithm did not mention, program, anything. There was nothing about race, gender, nothing. It just happened to spit out more black people because they had more black criminals. It spit out more men because they had more men criminals. So, being the racist they are, because anything you do that is based on race, where you're tweaking or changing the rules, is racist. So being the racist that they are, they went in there and actually tried to program race in to eliminate black criminals. What does that mean? How stupid is that? So now you are literally telling your system to ignore criminals that it sees. Now, to be clear, I'm not in favor of facial recognition of any kind. Let me just go on record by saying that. I think this whole system is bogus, but they have it, and it is in place. So they don't have any reason to cry about this. So by going in there and tweaking their algorithm to where it will recognize fewer black criminals, actual black criminals, that means that they're letting some of those black criminals go and not get recognized because they don't want the numbers to reflect that because it's uncomfortable for them to report. Why would you ever subject the public to more free criminals roaming around out there simply because the result of your test did not reveal what you wanted it to? Don't you think by them having a system that was not biased, like they literally could prove that this system did not program race in there at all, wouldn't that be the cover they need? In other words, if a certain subset of people got upset about this, couldn't they just say, dude, here's the rules, here's our algorithm, look at it. It doesn't mention race. Maybe if y'all quit committing all the crimes, you wouldn't be overrepresented. Stop overrepresenting crimes, and you won't be overrepresenting in the crime, overrepresented in the crime numbers. Look, folks, the algorithm didn't look for black people. It matched facial features to mugshots on watch lists for serious crimes like knife possession, robbery, weapons, gang violence. These lists aren't invented. They come from arrests, convictions, and victim reports. According to UK facts from the Ministry of Justice, ONS, and Ethnicity Facts and Figures, 4% of the population are black Britons. Black people were arrested at 2.2 times the white rate, 20.4 per 1,000 blacks versus 9.4 per 1,000 whites. Black men are 2.4 times higher in this case. Prosecutions. Blacks were overrepresented in robbery. Look at prison numbers. Black offenders are 12% of the prison population, which is actually a lot lower than I would expect in the UK. Looking at these numbers, these are convictions and sentencing data, not just arrests. Folks, these cameras reflected reality. What's really going on? Higher per capita black offending and targeted crimes means more black faces on watch lists, so you're going to get more correct matches. The system was colorblind. It reported the input data accurately. Higher accuracy on black faces? That's because the watch list had proportionally more black offenders on the list. They had committed more crimes. This is so stupid. There was no racist code. No one programmed race into it until they were trying to fudge the numbers. No skin tone weighting of any kind. Coresight Apollo matched biometrics neutrally. False positives were insignificant across all races. The left's bias cry, not wrongful accusations or innocence, it was successful detections of real criminals being disproportionate. It wasn't a mistake. That was literally a fact of what was happening. It again reflected reality in this case. Look, folks, the cameras didn't know what they were looking for. They weren't hunting black criminals. They were hunting criminals. That's it. They were hunting criminals who, per official stats, just happened to be disproportionately black in most of these categories. That's why the correct rate was higher for black participants. If watch lists were majority white, it'd flag more white people. No complaints, though. No one would complain about that. Ah, we knew it. We knew it. We've been saying it was the white people, finally. And actually, once they tweak these numbers, it's probably spitting out more white people to their surprise and delight. But when data shows reality, they pause the tool. They pause their little test. Essex tweaked their little system until hit rates look, quote, fairer by race, not by crime risk. That ideology trumping safety, leaving victims in high crime areas exposed, is so freaking careless. I mean, literally somebody should lose their job over this because they are quite literally turning their back and refusing to recognize and acknowledge where the actual problems are, which means you can never fix the problem if you don't properly and accurately recognize it. But we're over here in the good old US. Screw the UK. You think this will ever happen over here? Ooh. This might be a test right here for at least the wackos on the far left to say, we don't want facial recognition. We're going to get the same crap they got over there. Truth. In the United States, disparities would certainly be starker. Black Americans are about 13.7% of the U.S. population, but FBI data shows 51 to 57% of murder offenders. Robbery arrests are 8 times per capita versus white. Violent crimes 2.6 times higher overall. Watch lists here would flag even more correctly on black faces because crime data shows bigger gaps, meaning even higher crime rates per black people. The UK test, with only 4% black population, already caused panic over accurate catches. Here, it'd be like a nuclear bomb going off. Leftists would demand shutdowns or tweaks or parity. Let's level out the scales a little bit. Let's make it more equaler. That's where that whole equity thing comes in. It's not about equality. It's about more equaler. When you have somebody who is underperforming and they either don't want to perform better or can't, and you push them to the front of the line where people like us are kicking ass, that's not right. And that's essentially what these people are doing. They're literally shoving their finger on the scale to get the outcome that they want, not the truth. I'd say here in the United States, we're very unlikely to see any kind of effective rollout of this type of program, at least without some kind of sabotage or built in. They'll bake something into it to where they can get the results that they want. No one will trust this. No one will, because there's no way they're going to allow this same outcome and result that the UK had to happen over here in the United States. Bottom line is that the Essex system was not biased until they got the actual results, and then they made it biased. Again, they cooked the books, so to speak. Black people represent more of these crimes per capita. It picked more black criminals because there were more black criminals on actual criminal watch lists. There was no racist programming. It targeted criminals and criminals only. Criminals who happened to be disproportionately black. The shutdown of this program, because they didn't get the results they wanted, is prioritizing fake equality over actual real safety. They're putting citizens' lives at risk in order to get the outcome they want. Folks, this kind of stuff is dangerous. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your belief system is. None of that stuff matters to me. What you do matters to me. And whenever you put out numbers like these high crime numbers, that matters to me. And again, when you call people racist for recognizing it, it's literally called pattern recognition. They're getting to a point where the phrase pattern recognition is going to be viewed as some kind of a racist or white supremacist term because they don't like it, because it points the finger back at groups that they want to protect and that they want to hump. Look, you can hump the leg of anybody you want to, but don't force those fake statistics onto me and everybody else. You can celebrate whatever you want in private, but once you start tweaking and cooking the books like these people are doing, now you're putting families and other people out there, you're putting them at risk. And you're ignoring the real threats out there by skipping over some of those criminals because it's inconvenient for you. Folks, drop your thoughts down below. Should we fight for these kinds of tools? Do you think it's even effective? I don't like facial recognition whatsoever. I'm opposed to this. It's not something we should have in this country. I think it's very, very much an infringement, but still, whatever. Give me your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think. Like for more fact-based content like this, and subscribe and slap that bell so you get notified when I upload a video. Share this video if you don't mind, and as always, guys, thank you so much for watching Legally Armed America. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for a book to educate yourself and to educate the idiots out there who can't think for themselves regarding mass shootings, go to damnliars.net. Again, damnliars.net, and get my brand new book, Damn Liars.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's hanging around.